From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aishah Ashraf. A U.S. contractor guarding Gaza aid sites is under fire for ties to a far-right biker group. This and more in today's show. Keep watching Muslim News. The Trump administration is reportedly planning to ease its criticism of human rights abuses in countries such as Israel, El Salvador, and Russia. According to a Washington Post report, leaked drafts of the State Department's 2024 human rights reports show major omissions compared to previous years. The draft on Israel has been slashed to just 25 pages, down from more than 100 under the Biden administration. It reportedly omits references to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial, judicial overhaul, and surveillance of Palestinians. The El Salvador draft claims there were no credible reports of abuses in 2024, despite previous findings of torture and killings. In the Russia report, anti-LGBTQ+ violence and civil society crackdowns were removed. Officials claim the new format improves readability, but critics say it reflects selective concern for rights tied to U.S. foreign policy. The final version of this report is due in the coming months. An American contractor overseeing security at Gaza aid sites is facing backlash over his ties to a far-right biker group. Johnny Taz Mulford works with UG Solutions, which is providing site security at the Israel and U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, food distribution centers. He has tattoos of Crusader-style crosses, symbols that are often co-opted by far-right groups. Mulford is a member of the Infidels, a Florida-based motorcycle club for U.S. war veterans and ex-private military contractors, including those linked to Blackwater. Blackwater is an American private military contractor which has been implicated in a number of crimes, including the 2007 Nusur Square massacre, in which Blackwater employees killed 17 Iraqi civilians and injured 20. Mulford's club openly opposes what it calls a radical jihadist movement. In May, Mulford reportedly recruited ex-combatants via Facebook, asking those who could still shoot, move, and communicate to join him. When contacted, Mulford confirmed he was in Israel, but declined further comment. Israeli soldiers have killed 98 Palestinians in Gaza in the past 24 hours, including 51 people waiting for aid, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. Israeli forces wounded another 603. Israeli strikes killed at least 22 civilians and injured others in several strikes since early Thursday. 5 Palestinians, including a child, died from starvation, pushing the death toll from the famine due to Israel's 5-month blockade of food and humanitarian aid to 197. Israeli soldiers also killed a child who was trying to retrieve airdropped aid in Khan Yunis. Israeli strikes hit homes and refugee camps across Gaza, killing women, children, and the elderly. Attacks on tents in Al-Mawasi, a so-called safe zone, sparked deadly fires as emergency services remain crippled. Doctors Without Borders slammed the Israeli and U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation as a militarized proxy using aid to control and kill. Israel only allowed 92 aid trucks to enter Gaza on Wednesday, far below the 500 to 600 needed daily. The United Nations has warned more than 100 premature babies are at risk due to fuel shortages. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed over 65,000 Palestinians, mostly women, children, and the elderly, since October 2023. Israel faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. As well, the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. A Chicago man has been indicted on federal hate crimes charges in the killing of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. The deadly shooting occurred May 21st outside an American Jewish Committee event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. The suspect, 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez, allegedly opened fire, killing 2 men, then entered the museum pretending to flee. As he was detained, he shouted, "Free, free Palestine," and later told investigators, "I did it for Palestine. I did it for Gaza." Officials say Rodriguez legally purchased a 9mm handgun in Illinois and flew with it to D.C. 2 days before the attack. He also praised U.S. Airman Aaron Bushnell, who burned himself to death outside the Israeli embassy in protest of Israel's genocide in Gaza in February 2024. Federal authorities are treating the case as a targeted hate crime. The University of Maryland has agreed to pay $100,000 to Students for Justice in Palestine after unlawfully banning their October 2024 Gaza Vigil. Civil rights groups Palestine Legal and the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, filed the lawsuit, calling it a major victory for student free speech. They say it is the highest ever settlement for students supporting Palestinian rights in the U.S. The university revoked approval for the vigil, citing threats from pro-Israel individuals, including racist and violent messages. A federal court ruled in favor of the students, stating the university cannot silence speech out of fear. The court also affirmed that slogans like "From the River to the Sea" are protected by the First Amendment. The university must now recognize the student group as in good standing. University of Maryland Students for Justice in Palestine say the money will be used to organize more programs for Palestinian freedom. Civil rights advocates say the case sends a strong warning to universities cracking down on Free Palestine voices. Stanford University's student-run newspaper has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, accusing it of using immigration law to target and deport Free Palestine student activists. The suit, filed in a California court, is backed by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. It claims two of the paper's members, both non-citizens, felt forced to self-censor out of fear. They have named Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem as defendants. The lawsuit argues their use of the Immigration and Nationality Act, or INA, to silence and deport pro-Palestine voices violates the First and Fifth Amendments. It demands an injunction to stop such deportations and calls for two INA provisions to be struck down. This suit comes just weeks after a similar case by university professors in Boston, also targeting the administration's crackdown on campus speech related to Israel's genocide in Gaza. The case is still awaiting a ruling. A new probe reveals that Israel is using Microsoft's Azure to process intercepted Palestinian calls for AI-powered targeting. Details coming up next.
Muna Convention 2025 is coming, and you don't want to miss the event of the year. With over 25,000 attendees, it's one of the largest annual gatherings of American Muslims. This isn't just a convention, it's a celebration of faith, learning, community, and inspiration. Join world-renowned speakers. This is your moment to reconnect, reflect, and be inspired. From youth programs and college sessions to daycare, Quran competitions, and talent shows, there's something for every member of the family. Shop the Bazaar and Expo with over 200 vendors, featuring faith-based products, books, gifts, and cultural treasures. Visit munaconvention.com to register now. Spaces are filling fast. We can't wait to welcome you.
We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that.
Welcome back. A new investigation has revealed that Israel's military has been using Microsoft's Azure cloud platform to store and analyze millions of intercepted Palestinian phone calls. According to The Guardian, Plus 972 magazine, and Local Call, the system was built by Israeli intelligence unit 8200. This was after a 2021 meeting between its chief and Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. The surveillance platform can process up to 1 million calls per hour. Sources say it has played a key role in Israel's targeting and airstrikes in Gaza and the West Bank. Leaked documents show that 200 million hours are stored on the system. The data reportedly feeds into AI tools that assist in identifying targets, intensifying Israel's genocide in the region. Israel is facing war crimes charges at the International Criminal Court and a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit China for the first time in more than 7 years. The visit was announced just days after President Donald Trump imposed fresh 25% tariffs on Indian exports. The move is seen as punishment for India's continued oil trade with Russia and has strained ties between Washington and New Delhi. Modi said he is ready to pay the price but will not compromise the interests of India's farmers and fishermen. Meanwhile, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has announced Russian President Vladimir Putin is expected to visit India soon. Trump and Putin may also meet next week as the U.S. president pushes to end the war in Ukraine while tightening economic screws on Moscow. President Donald Trump has announced a 100% tariff on imported computer chips and semiconductors unless companies manufacture them inside the United States. Speaking at the White House on Wednesday, Trump said firms already building or committed to building chip facilities in the U.S. would be exempt from the new tariffs. However, he gave no clear criteria what qualifies as building or commitment. He claimed the policy would force chip companies to come back home, adding that the goal is to boost domestic production and create jobs. The move could significantly impact prices of phones, cars, and computers, which rely heavily on chips. Trump made the announcement during a meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook, who revealed an additional $100 billion investment in the U.S. Apple, Trump confirmed, would not face the new duties due to its expanding U.S. footprint. Industry experts warn of potential price surges and supply chain disruptions. Unemployment among Black Americans has surged to 7.2% in July, the highest rate since October 2021. According to the Department of Labor, that is far above the national average of 4.2%. Black women are the hardest hit. More than 300,000 lost their jobs in just the first half of the year. Experts blame 3 major factors, including a weakening economy. Black workers, often in temporary or low-wage jobs, are usually the first to be laid off during downturns. They also blame President Donald Trump's rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that have spread from government to private firms. Experts say it has created an antagonistic environment for Black workers. Third, federal job cuts under Trump have disproportionately impacted Black employees, especially after the closure of the Department of Education, where 30% of educators were Black. Analysts warn this trend could signal an incoming recession. Social media platform X is under fire for spreading anti-Muslim and anti-migrant hate following a stabbing last year in the city of Southport, England, according to a report by Amnesty International. The investigation found that X's algorithm prioritized outrage and engagement over safety, helping false claims go viral. After the murder of 3 girls in Southport in July 2024, far-right riots erupted across the UK. Mobs attacked mosques and migrant shelters based on false rumors that the suspect was a Muslim asylum seeker. Amnesty found that posts wrongly labeling the attacker a foreign-born Muslim refugee gained more than 27 million views within 24 hours. The research blames changes under Elon Musk's leadership, which it says have turned X into fertile ground for racist narratives. The changes include mass layoffs of content moderators, reinstating banned accounts, and gutting safety teams. X has not responded to the report. Africa is losing $75 billion annually due to global financial bias, according to the Africa Finance Corporation. Its president, Samela Zuberu, said exaggerated risk perceptions are inflating borrowing costs for African nations. Despite similar default rates to other countries, African debt trades at higher spreads. Research by Moody's confirms African defaults are not unusually high. World Bank data shows that Africa had the second lowest infrastructure loan default rate globally between 2010 and 2020. Still, investors demand higher yields. Bondholders earn an average 9.8% return on African debt compared to 6.5% on Latin American bonds. And Didi Okonkwo of the One campaign noted that African infrastructure has returned 6 times more than the S&P 500 over 30 years. Experts say more transparency and real-time data are needed to counter bias. In response, the African Union plans to launch its own credit rating agency by 2026. Massive anti-India rallies erupted across Pakistan-administered Kashmir on the 6th anniversary of India's move to revoke the region's special status. Protesters marched with black flags, rejecting New Delhi's control over the disputed territory. The demonstrations come amid rising tensions between India and Pakistan. Meanwhile, in Beijing, Pakistan's planning minister Hassan Iqbal announced deeper technology ties with China. Speaking during a week-long visit, Iqbal said the two sides aim to expand cooperation in advanced fields like space exploration, AI, and quantum computing. He met with top officials from China's nuclear and space agencies and discussed peaceful uses of nuclear technology, including power generation and agriculture. Pakistan's Karachi Nuclear Power Plant Unit 3, powered by China's Hualong 1 reactor, is now fully operational. It joins Unit 2 in using China's third-generation nuclear tech, capable of generating more than 10 billion kilowatts per hour annually. These are the first Hualong 1 reactors China has exported, reflecting growing strategic collaboration. Japan's Sumitomo Pharma has applied for approval to sell and manufacture a groundbreaking stem cell-based treatment for Parkinson's. The treatment offers new hope for more than 10 million Parkinson's patients worldwide. It was developed with Kyoto University using induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPS, adult cells reprogrammed to act like young, versatile cells. In trials, they were turned into dopamine-producing brain cells and injected into patients aged 50 to 59. The results, published in Nature, showed 4 out of 7 patients saw improved symptoms over 2 years with no serious side effects. Parkinson's is a progressive disease that damages dopamine-producing cells, leading to tremors and loss of movement. Current treatments only manage symptoms, but this therapy could slow or reverse the disease. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.